Mary Malone, what are you doing over here? Just looking at the tree? It's a nice tree, Mary. Mary. I found you. You've been staring at this tree for 20 years. 2 months ago, I made a video titled, Will the Games You Love Be There? It hit mass appeal to the tune of 600 views. That's right, pats on back. Video covered the idea that because games are being discontinued and being taken offline, it could be a rough time to be nostalgic for a game that no longer exists. Down the memory hole, feeling to experience something of immense importance to you once again that can't be filled with the empty void that now is that game. Little did I know that feeling of a calling back would come for me in the near future when I made that video with the game of Guild Wars, and thank God ArenaNet has kept the game running for 20 years. Wow, I'm old. Even after Guild Wars 2 was released in 2012, to immense success, they kept this baby running. I recently felt that itch to pick up what was the game that made me want a PC all the way back in 2006. A little Smicky who saw the beautiful world of Tyria and wanted to go exploring in what would be my first quote-unquote MMO. A lot of people don't consider Guild Wars an MMO. We'll get to that. I can remember the event like yesterday. My birthday falls shortly after Christmas, so when I wanted something big, I'd always beg my parents to get me a combined Christmas and birthday gift. The PC was what that was that year. Although I have fantastic parents, and I'd always still get something for my birthday too. Thanks, Mom and Dad. They spoiled me a little bit. It was this gateway right here. I got this thing specifically for Guild Wars, and man, did it get its use. I remember the glossy mouse, that little padded keyboard action. What am I doing? Getting emotional just looking at this picture of an old PC with a Windows XP on it, I believe. There's something about thinking back on your first experience with an online RPG, too, that it just makes you smile but sad at the same time. That first experience of that big open online world it's just crazy. I had dabbled in RuneScape on the family computer previously on one of those huge, over-dramatic wooden hunkers of desks that people used to have in the 2000s, complete with the extendable keyboard tray. But I never really had enough time to get heavily into it because of having to share the computer. Plus, I had a sub fee, and I wasn't going to convince my parents to do that. Although I do remember the times playing late at night with my cousin who lived locally, and we'd be up until we heard those mourning doves outside. We'd be fishing for shrimps at Drainer Village, chatting on walkie-talkies. Oh, it's great. That's some gaming magic that you'll never capture again. We were kids and free-to-play players, but that wasn't even a concern. It was more about the experience of being in that world together and having fun with the bank standers. In a way, I think Guild Wars captures that old-school feeling still to this day. And it's just get out there and explore the world and don't be concerned with min-maxing and being the best of the best amongst all the greats. You can do that, but it definitely doesn't have to be. Play the way you want and enjoy yourself. It's like the whole game was kind of set up from the beginning for a solo player RPG experience, and I love it. Some of you are probably saying to yourself, hey, you lying sack of shit. You said you don't like games with FOMO or ones that consume your life. Now you're playing an MMO? Dabbling in Guild Wars is different entirely than a usual MMO, trust me. The ones that pack you along for the ride with all those things I've talked about in previous videos, not here. In Guild Wars 1, you're able to play it like a vast RPG exploration game. Going at your own pace, it'll be there for me when I want to play, one purchase, no sub fees, complete game. When I come back on a Sunday night, in 1 month, it's exactly as I left it. Nothing to catch up on. The game was built from the beginning like they knew one day people would want to come back and play it again. It was a game you could play back in the day when the world was teeming with players, or now is a more casual single-player experience. Although I do still see people recruiting for guilds, and the game tells me people are winning in PvP all the time, so there's definitely still is some type of a community going for this thing. Going strong. And speaking of that team that built this game so gloriously, in doing some light research for this video, I did find people in the community saying that devs had stated that they have no intentions of shutting the game down, and it will be going indefinitely. Talk about a prime example for the Stop Killing Games movement. I was able to find this article from 2013 by Eurogamer in which the lead content designer, Mike, said, quote, there's still a community there that's really passionate and really thriving in there, so we want to support them as best we can. And then further stating, We've been doing a lot of automation support so that the game itself could last forever, even without anybody really touching it. So it sounds like these statements were true 12 years later from when this was made, after Guild Wars 2 came out, and it's still going. I personally think this is really awesome. That part of the team's focus was making sure this beauty is around for the long haul to be experienced by the masses. The reason I'm into this is I was thinking about what game I could get into that could be somewhat of a background game when I just want to chill and not think much after a long day at work. The other contender that popped into mind was old school RuneScape, but I really didn't want to get into another monthly payment right now, and I also might not be playing for a month or so at a time. And that's when I thought about Guild Wars. I saw it was only $30 for the base game, what's called Prophecies now, and also the first 2 expansions, Nightfall and Factions. If I ever clear this content, I'll pick up the last one, Eye of the North. That expansion was probably my favorite growing up because I always loved good snowy locations. Jaga, I believe, Moraine, is probably my most memorable area map. It's also the lady on the thumbnail for this video. And speaking of the area map, that brings us to how some people don't consider the game an MMORPG, and why I believe you can still go back and enjoy this game today, even at low populations, and it still feels like it did back then, even though there's not a massive amount of people playing. While in the towns and outposts, you will be able to see other players and form parties with them, but once you actually enter into the world, it's completely instanced to your party. So whether or not the game is completely populated has nothing to do with when you're actually doing the combat in this game. It might be a little bit harder to find parties, but that's okay. The game still plays and feels exactly the same, and luckily, if you are playing alone, the game lets you add henchmen into your party to complement your build. So as an elementalist, I always make sure I have a tank and a healer, then fill in whatever else I need there. Honestly, this is exactly how I used to play back in the day. 90% of the time when I was a kid, I wouldn't be adding strangers to my party. I was weird. And sometimes I would party up with my cousin who also played the game, but besides that, this was like a regular old RPG with multiplayer aspects when I was playing it. And as soon as I made a new good old elementalist, I felt right at home. The nostalgia instantly hit. I probably shouldn't have given him this long hair though. Yikes. The graphics are still fine for playing today. You can tell the game is old, but they still look good enough. I always preferred this over pretty much every other MMO. The new one, New World, that one has nicer graphics, I would say, but Guild Wars always got compared to World of Warcraft, and I always preferred the way this one looked better. I also really enjoy the slower, more tedious combat of this game. Maybe I'm just old, but whenever I looked into WoW a few years ago, there was so much going on the streamers' screens when I would look, and I couldn't even tell what was happening. There's just so many skills and health boxes and cooldown. Oh man, it was just a lot for my brain dead self. I like the simplicity of the UI and less skills to use at one time, but a ton of skills to choose from to make a build. Every profession has around 70 to 80 skills, as the wiki states, and the game has a dual profession system, so there's all types of combos you can make. For now, personally, I chose Ranger to have as my second profession, so I have a little extra tank for me to sit back and cast some spells, because you get to tame a pet. The game has 10 professions in total, as you can see here, and Nightfall added the Paragon and Dervish, while Factions added the Assassin and Ritualist. I like this type of combat where it's highly customizable and based around the build that you construct. It's also less actiony and more tactile. Targeting the right enemies is like a big part of this rather than just spamming attacks. You have to make sure you're going after healers, for instance, in this game first, because they're actually efficient. And it's also cool that the enemies have actual player skills, as you will see when looking at their character bars. And they are no joke. I've already been wiped a few times by aggroing too many at once, even in the tutorial. Speaking of that tutorial, this part kind of blew my mind. When you make a character, on Prophecies at least, you enter into a starting area called Ascalon, but what is known as pre-searing Ascalon, and eventually, once learning the ropes of the game, you can leave to the actual main game map by talking to this guy at the bridge, and you'll head to that main map of Tyria in what's known as the post-searing world. And I saw people running around in the starting area at max level of 20. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Something's going on here. So I actually looked it up, and it turns out there's a ton of people who choose to play the game in this pre-searing map of the tutorial and go for max level. And the game even rewards this. There's a title called Legendary Defender of Ascalon that you obtain by reaching level 20 in the tutorial before the searing event here occurs. I can't really blame people. Pre-searing definitely hit all those nostalgic bones in my body. The atmosphere of this region is just so drastic to what it becomes. Everything seems happier and serene. The green landscapes and amazing music. And this is another outstanding part about this game. The game has a legendary composer, Jeremy Soule, hope I'm getting that name right, who also has worked on the Elder Scrolls and the Harry Potter series. Wikipedia tells me here he's worked on over 60 games. So, wow. So they definitely, you know, went for the big hitter for the music, and that's good. I really think a good soundtrack, especially in a big open world MMO type game like this, you need that because it just helps maintain the vibes when you're just running around exploring and slaying enemies. It just helps a lot. So very good choice to get someone good for the music. And if you're doing a pre-searing character to work towards that title, there are efficient ways to do it to not spend an excessive amount of time on it and XP waste. And there's guides for this on YouTube as well. I found out about this a little too late, and I had already did the quest that I was supposed to save until later. I'll be back to it one day for sure. I did explore everything the tutorial map has to offer, and the way I'm going to be playing Guild Wars and continue playing it is as I have been, which is a single-player experience, kind of exploring a vast and interesting world. If people want to play and party up with me, though, I'd love that, so feel free to let me know in the comments if you're an active player. I mean, this place is massive, and this is the tutorial. And then you look at post-searing here, Tyria, and this is only Tyria. This is one continent. Hell, I fully explored that tutorial, and I'm already at 12.3 hours freshly out of there at the time of recording this video. And Nightfall added a region called Elona that is also a massive continent, and factions added Cantha. I'm probably going to be exploring this game for the rest of my life, which is the first ultimate goal I have for playing this game, being exploration. It's the ultimate title I'm going to play for, Legendary Cartographer, which you get for achieving 100% exploration on each continent. So the work is cut out for me, but it's not going anywhere, and that's the best part. The game is just there with clear-cut objectives that you get to set for yourself. There's tons of reasons to play this game in 2025. You'll probably see me streaming this game from time to time when I need a break from thinking. It's a little time capsule that exists from my childhood, and I love that it still feels exactly the same as when I got my first PC back in the day. It just kind of goes in with what a lot of people are talking about these days with game preservation and stop killing games. I literally am so thankful that this game is still up and running to play today, and if you never played it, it's still, like I said, kind of plays like a more tactile single-player RPG. Lots to explore. The main missions aren't really that bad. They're fully voice-acted. It's actually challenging, unlike a lot of MMOs. Like, when I tried World of Warcraft, I never really thought the exploration and whatnot was really anything difficult, or the main story quest and all that. But this one, like I said, you actually have to pay attention and make sure you're prioritizing your attacks, and that feels kind of nice. I hope everyone's having a good week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.